Hi, my name is Colin, and along with my group mates Ryan and Erik, we will be talking to you today about JP Morgan, his early life, his rise to wealth, and the key role he played in saving the United States economy from complete and utter collapse. John Pierpont Morgan was born into a rich New England family on April 17, 1837, in Hartford, Connecticut. His family had a history of success as his father was a prominent banker, which set Morgan on a good path from an early age. Morgan attended school and graduated from high school in 1854 before studying abroad in Europe for 3 years, after which he returned to the United States in 1857 and began his finance career in New York.
The Morgan family wealth and connections allowed JP to have a leg up in the competition. He established Dabney, Morgan and Company, which funneled money into American businesses. After the retirement of Dabney, Morgan joined forces with Philadelphia banker Anthony Drexel to form Drexel, Morgan and Company. Morgan had a talent for brokering deals between businessmen, which bolstered his reputation and led to Vanderbilt approaching him in 1879 about the sale of 250,000 shares of stock in the New York Central Railroad. This secured Morgan a seat on the New York Central Board of Directors. The railroad business drastically furthered JP's career. In the 1860s, he became involved in reorganizing financially troubled railroads, which were a result of the Panic of 1857. He then went on to make the largest transaction of bonds in U.S. history in 1880, selling $40 million in bonds to fund the Northern Pacific Railroad. His railroad empire eventually controlled one-sixth of the nation's railroads. In 1900, Carnegie wanted to sell his holdings of his steel companies, which resulted in Morgan buying out Carnegie for $400 million. Morgan created the United States Steel Corporation in 1901. It was America's first billion-dollar corporation. Morgan's business enterprises expanded beyond railroads and steel, and he facilitated the merger of Edison General Electric and Thomas Houston Electric to form General Electric, as well as merged agricultural companies into the International Harvester Corporation.
The event we will be analyzing today is the Panic of 1893, and more specifically, the bailout the government received from a certain Wall Street banker. With J.P. Morgan's huge accumulation of wealth also came a huge accumulation of power. This power led to Morgan being a key player in saving the United States economy from certain collapse in 1893. With the United States reserves of gold nearly depleted due to uncertainty and panic amongst investors, J.P. Morgan struck a historic deal with President Grover Cleveland, who was skeptical of doing a deal with the private entity. This deal involved J.P. Morgan and his syndicate giving the Treasury $60 million in gold in return for favorable government bonds, which ended up making Morgan more money than he ever gave to the government. Despite public calls of being a crooked Wall Street banker, Morgan did the entire United States a personal favor by saving the entire economy from collapse, as the Treasury was seemingly moments away from having their entire gold supply completely emptied. When Morgan saw the government's plight, he answered, and like always, was able to make a personal gain and profit as the nation's best banker. This, however, didn't prevent congressional accusations being thrown at Morgan in 1912. He was asked to testify on the existence of a money trust, which was a small group of elite Wall Street financiers who allegedly colluded to control the American banking and industry. This investigation eventually led to the creation of the Clayton Antitrust Act of 1914, which upholded the rights of labor protesters as well as prohibited discriminatory pricing and unethical corporate behavior. Even with the help of Morgan, the Panic of 1893 had large ramifications on the nation's economy, as the nation's gold reserve would not fully rebound until well into the 1900s, as can be seen on this graph. Before we continue, I'd like to present a primary source document related to what we've talked about today, and see if my colleague Ryan, or any of the viewers at home, can guess who the speaker of the document is. Feel free to pause the video to read through the doc. So after reading the doc, who do you think the speaker is?
That's a good question, Erik. I think this document is from JP Morgan's testimony.
Wow, Ryan, you're such a great historian. That's correct. This document is from JP Morgan's testimony before the House of Representatives in December of 1912. J.P. Morgan died on March 31st, 1913 in Rome, Italy at the age of 75. To commemorate his passing, the New York Stock Exchange remained closed until noon. Morgan influenced many aspects of American history as he boosted the economy with his great wealth and twice bailed out the United States Treasury, which led to the creation of the Federal Reserve System in 1913. His many railroads connected the United States, and his banking empire is undoubtedly his most recognizable accomplishment, with J.P. Morgan and Company funding the Allies' efforts throughout both world wars and continuing to be a banking powerhouse into the 21st century. And with that, I want to end today's video with a question for the students. While there are many different opinions on the impact of J.P. Morgan, do you believe that he had an overall positive or negative impact on the history of the United States? As you think about that question, I'd like to say thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.